Welcome back. It is episode 151. I am your host, Jacob Harris, and this podcast is brought to you by Achievement Apex, Power Pit Rockingham, Ped Test Australia, and Bulk Gym Chalk. I am joined by a guest today who has done many things. Bodybuilding, does a bit of photography, which I found out recently, which I'm going to ask about because I find that super interesting, and has created one of the best and tastiest recipes you've ever tried in your life and has the best voiceovers I've ever heard. Zach Kerr, thank you for being here, man.
Oh, mate, it's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. I have been watching your videos for many a time and been increasingly frustrated that I don't have any of the MyProtein stuff to make any of it. So you're a fantastic sponsor.
You can get it, and you can get it by using code Zacro.
Man, I love that. I love that. And it's I just laughed at this before. I love that you've committed to the, like, out of any person in the world, like the counting Zacros. It wouldn't have worked with anyone else. Oh, it could have worked with like a guy named like Jacko or something, man, like counting Jackros. No, it's not the same.
No, it's got to be the Zacros. I think it's funny actually, because when I first made the account, I'm from a rural town in New South Wales, so people don't really know much about nutrition out there. Don't get me wrong, some people do. But when I made the account and people started finding out about it, they were like, what's Zacros?
Yeah.
Macros, and my name is Zach. I thought, oh, whatever.
It's pretty deep though. There's layers to it.
Yeah, if you look too far into it, maybe.
Well, I'm just trying to give these rural folk benefit of the doubt because I'm sure they're nice people. But I can't say shit, man. I'm in Perth, right? And like I'm pretty sure that I have like existential crisis sometimes, where I'm like trying to figure out whether we exist because I like feel like sometimes we don't. No bands come here. People are like, "Oh, you're from over there." I'm like, "Am I on? Is there like a fence between us or something?"
You know, you guys. Well, it's a big gap.
It seems like maybe there is. I mean, it's funny too because you consume content from all over the world now, right? And it skewers like your geography. You can just forget. I'll say to people all the time, I'll be like, "Oh, where is that person from?" And I'll spin out, right? And so, where are you living like now? You're in Brisbane, did you say?
Vegas, baby. I am in Brisbane.
Yes, the place to be. I still haven't been there, but I have heard that there is some pretty great punch-ups and it's really sunny.
Yeah. So I did consider going out the other night. What was it, Friday night? And then it was really a matter of, do I want to get punched in the head or not? I didn't really, so I just stayed home.
Yeah, I think if you drink enough Bundy, then your punch gets stronger and you've got to out Bundy the other people and then you're the strongest.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much how it works. It's like what do they call it? They call it the old wife beater, which is always really nice to hear. Personally, yeah. I'm not a Bundy fan. I was when I was like 16. I didn't drink underage. I waited until I was 18.
I definitely did nothing. I didn't do anything until the age of 21. So,
smart man. PEDs as well, or?
PEDs, as soon as I turned 21, I straight away, I was like, I'm jumping on cycle. I didn't even train. I was like, I'm just jumping on. But I mean, look, that you've been training for like quite some time, right? I mean, like, how old are you?
I'm 30. I just turned 30 in October.
Oh, well, I mean, happy birthday for that. But also, how are you dealing with it?
Both my knees are sore. My left hip is popping daily. My right ankle is also a bit cooked, and all of these are purely excuses to skip legs tomorrow. So there's that too.
Oh, you're 30. Do you even train legs? Is there any point in even training legs once you hit 30? I'm pretty sure. Isn't this like from now onwards just when you get really good at bench?
Yeah, well, let's hope so because I'm not very good at it now. So fingers crossed.
It's all good, bro. It's not good for building muscle anyway, technically, from like a biomechanical standpoint. But I would say, I don't know
if you're a scientific lifter or not, mate. But dumbbells all the way.
Dude, if I'm doing a lat pull down and I'm not stationary, either seated or lying down, it's not a lat pull down. No. Like, you know, everything I do has to be like to the point where I'm confined to completely target the muscle because I don't want to accidentally hit any stabilizers and become like functional. That would be weird.
Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to progress that quickly when you can just like purely isolate only your lat and just grow that piece? Like that's it.
100%. This is I I knew that I'd find someone that could agree with this, right? I mean, I'm not trying to waste time hitting everything. I know I'm purely training for aesthetics. I don't want to be able to even jump a fence. I want to struggle to jump a fence.
No, in fact, I go in and I purely have a lat day. That's it. We just purely from that aesthetic standpoint where I need to just have big lats.
Yeah.
And it's not fucking working, but I'm trying my best.
If you can put a shirt on after a lat day with me, you haven't latted hard enough. I have to ask then. So you're 30. You competed in bodybuilding. Did you compete in bodybuilding more than once, or was it because it was not that long ago?
Yeah, so it was September of 2022. I did a back-to-back shows. So I did one season, 2 shows, and didn't go to plan at all, to be quite honest. But it happens. First time, didn't really know what was going on. My coach is based in Wales in the UK, so it was kind of hard to make adjustments on the fly. But got up there and gave it my all. It's all you can ask, really.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not something I would ever try, but mainly just because I find it's a lot easier to have excuses surrounding that sort of thing. And rather than actually give people the credit they deserve for doing something that's quite an achievement, I just generally try to focus on the fact that I would, but I don't, because my focuses are on things that are way more achievable. Like CrossFit, for example. I don't really have to be good at anything. I can just be like decent at everything.
I think that's completely fair because, like, to be honest, you really strike me as the type of guy that'll like watch the Olympia eating potato chips and pointing at the screen and going, if I was on drugs, I could do that too.
100%, man. Honestly, the only thing standing between me and Chris Bumstead is like Trent, really. You know what I mean?
I think it's just a simple run of TRT only, to be honest.
Look, I've actually got better hair. So, like, to be fair, I reckon I could probably pull it off a little bit better. But that's just me. That's just me. I mean, I don't feel like it, you know?
I'm not this year, not next year, maybe one day.
I would if I felt like it, but I just got other stuff I'm focusing on. You know what I mean? And you get it, man. You do photography, right? Editing. It takes up time.
Yeah, it takes my time, man. It takes heaps of time.
It would do. What's the photography about? That has to be a fairly new thing.
It's an interesting one. So I started photography when I started my Instagram, I knew presenting the food needed to look appealing. Otherwise, people are going to look at it and go, "That's fucking disgusting. Get that away from me." And rightfully so, because you eat with your eyes for the most part. Well, you don't, but you eat with your eyes before you eat with your mouth. If something looks good, chances are you're probably going to want to eat it. Makes sense. So I knew I needed to make my food look as good as possible. And then I moved to Melbourne, and I wanted to make other people's food look as good as possible. So I met up with a friend of mine called Amy Flood, who's an absolute legend. She's the one who taught me how to use a camera in the first place. And we went around, had some brunches here and there, and she taught me a few tips and tricks on a bit of photography. And then I started hanging out with a guy called Ainsley and a gal called Sass. And they're both very talented photographers. And then they pushed me even further into photographing more food. I got really bored of photographing food, so I started photographing people instead. I have a friend of mine who's a very, very talented bodybuilder. His name is Hefty Humia. Actually, check him out because he's easily the most successful junior bodybuilder, probably, if not in Australia, the Southern Hemisphere, or the world. Then it'll be one of those because he's ridiculously talented, great physique. And I hit him up a couple of times just to be my test dummy for a bit of photography. And he's been my guinea pig since. And it's just progressed from there. Like, I've just loved it. I love having something to do with bodybuilding as a sport or as a pageant, whatever you want to call it, without actually having to do it constantly, because I love food and I don't always want to be trying to get thick skin lean all the time, and I don't want to track absolutely everything that goes into my face. So I love a bit of food here and there, and I also love the sport of bodybuilding and being around bodybuilders, permitting they're not being assholes, and they're at like that point in prep where they're just being dickheads, or like some interactions I have on Instagram with bodybuilders who are just wankers towards other bodybuilders for whatever reason. I don't know. But yeah, started with food, got bored of food, started shooting people, and now I do it I try to do it on a regular basis professionally.
Yeah, okay. I find that part of it interesting that you know, especially when you've mentioned the being a part of and not wanting to do it, because it's like, I feel like everyone sometimes feels like they have to. It's like they have to do it. Like it's like some people feel like they need to be a part of it or something like that. Or like, oh, I've got to do. Like, it's. I can only compare it to like powerlifting here became like a big thing, and then all of a sudden, like everyone was a powerlifter. It's like, man, you know, you can lift weights, and you don't like have to compete in a competition. Like no one gives a shit, and like you don't have to care either. But then I understand people like goals. I'm not taking that away from people, but I like that we need people that are interested in it, that are involved in it, that aren't doing it. Because if we all did it, then we'd have no one to help.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a really interesting one because, like, I've competed before, and I'm going to compete again next year. So I'm really keen for it. But on the flip side of the same coin, like I know I'm not very good at it. Like I can lift weights and my posing's okay, but I don't have the best genetics. And I'm just being like, I'm not trying to be hard on myself. I'm just being a realist. Like it is what it is. But I want to challenge myself. That's the main reason I do it. But also, I just think you're absolutely right. Like not everyone needs to compete. And most people, and I'll be brutally honest, most people can't compete. There's a lot of people who think they can, and they get to like 10% body fat and they go to the beach and they look good. But chances are they wouldn't be able to drop that extra 6%. It's fucking hard. It sucks. Most people can't do it. Those who can do it, I absolutely applaud. Don't get me wrong. It's like a ridiculous feat to even like get on stage and get sub 10% body fat. It's phenomenal for guys, and like for girls, sub 15%. I know that absolutely sucks for girls. But yeah, you don't need to do it. I think there was a really big push towards going all in the bodybuilding, I think from social media specifically, and maybe even TikTok in the last few years, where you can't be like a casual in the gym. Like you either need to be all in gym rat, bodybuilder, competitor, or powerlifter, or you just like pussyfoot around and don't train. Like I feel like for a while, those were the only two options, which is quite sad because some people just want to go in, lift a few weights, throw something around, and just be healthy and move.
Yeah, it's just the humans being humans, right? Like we're like, oh no, I can't just like do that, you know, like they've got to take it that bit extra. And look, man, I'm not going to pretend like I haven't spent time eating lunch, watching some like ridiculously like extremely unappealing personality wise Lex Little hardstyle compilation video in my car while drinking pre-workout on the way to the gym. You know what I mean? Like I've been through that stage of kind of like, it's so much more than it is. And then you get to a point, I think, especially as a guy, you just get to a point where you're like, fuck, like, dude, no one cares. What am I doing? Why is this my identity? Like, and not everyone's gone through that. Maybe you haven't, but like, I think, yeah, you can go through a stage where it's a little bit more than it is. And then you have to go backwards, which is what I've done. You know, we've talked about this before, reaching 30. I'm 29. Thank God I've still got a year.
Oh man, you're so close.
Got my life ahead of me, right? I'm like, so young. Call me a whippersnapper. You're like patting me on the head. That was weird, but you know what I'm saying?
When I was your age.
Yeah, well, I've got a really supportive chair though. It looks, I don't know what you're dealing with, but this is like, I'm talking, you know, there's a lot. This podcast is sponsored by Achievement Apex. Achievement Apex creates some of the best barbells in the world, and they supply some of these barbells to some of the strongest powerlifters and athletes in the world. If you want an Achievement Apex barbell, you can go to achievementapex.com and use the code PORTAPOTTY for 10% off any order that you make.
Does it lean forward so it'll help you get out to save your knees?
Oh no, like once I'm in, I'm in. You know? Yeah. I need like someone else to get me out. But yeah, so the point that I'm making is, I think now I've started, and then you go the other way, and now I'm like, oh man, I do just want to train for health, because you start to prioritize things differently. And I think food's the same thing, like what you've mentioned, right? Like the recipes that you use and all that sort of stuff, and the protein, like they're all cool. That stuff's great, right? But you, even yourself, the person who makes them, sometimes you're like, I'm not fucking mixing protein powder into this. I just want a normal piece of food Like, or I went through probably like 3 years without full cream milk. And like, there's nothing wrong with that because whatever. But like, you drink it and you're like, holy shit, this is
what I've been missing out on.
What? Wow, this is. I don't think I've ever drunk full cream milk, and I was like, nah, it'd be better if it was 95% water.
Can you just pour a glass of water and just put some white out in the top? That'd be perfect. I'll take that.
There's not enough build up in it.
Yeah, funny you say that actually, because I just I was talking to someone about it only recently, and I've started reintroducing a lot of full cream milk, because I literally just was sitting at work one day and I went, why do I drink almond milk? And I literally just clicked in my head and went, oh yeah, it's because it's 40 calories for 250 mils. That makes sense. Yeah, that's it. That's the only reason why. It doesn't taste good. It tastes like shit.
I've never drunk it on its own, which is a funny one. I think you don't think about that, but you're like, why would I ever drink it on its own? Like, to me, it's the same thing, I'm sure, right? It's always with oats or coffee or cereal.
Always. Oh, yeah. Can I please get a small almond latte? Thank you. That's how you know I started drinking coffee properly in Melbourne.
Funniest thing I did is I got to Melbourne. I've been there twice, and the second time I went there, I went and got a coffee straight away, and they handed me a cup about this big, and he was like, "Oh no!" First he went $4.50, and I was like, "Fuck, that's cheap." And then he handed me a cup like this, and I was like, "It was like 3 sips." I was like, "I didn't even ask for a small one. Is this a regular? Like, what do you mean?
What is this? A coffee for ants?"
Yeah, right. I was like, dude, I just was, I don't know, man. I think that I don't drink coffee anymore, but almond lattes, like I was pumping them for a bit, and it was always also with a sweetener. Or were you not a sweetener guy?
I actually use flavor drops just because I love vanilla. I'm an absolute slut for anything vanilla. Anything.
Would that happen to be My Protein flavor drops?
They actually are. If you wait right here, I'll go and cut. No. They actually are. I use the vanilla ones literally every day. I brought them into work, and I've got like 3 people hooked on them, which is like 50% of the office.
Nice. Yeah, cool. So that's like, I think we always forget that food's basically just like a drug, but even better than drugs, because like drugs people don't need, where food people actually just like people need it or they die. So you can actually hook them on it way easier. Yeah,
it's so good. It's so good. Yeah. And if I'm reaping financial gain out of it and they're using my code to buy it, then happy days.
My man. I love that. I love that.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, that's the only way to look at it. And I have to ask about, because you're obviously currently at, do you guys call it FroPro headquarters? That seems hilarious.
FroPro HQ. No, we just call it the office.
Oh, okay. Wow. We call it that here as well. Whoa.
Yeah, this is crazy. So Perth isn't that different. I thought it was the other side of the world.
Dude, is there a desk and a computer in front of you? You got like a keyboard? Don't tell me. But they're like, is there... So tell me a bit about that, because when you told me that you weren't part of like the creation of it or anything, you just started working there.
Correct. Yeah. So FroPro, I'll give you a little backstory of what I know. FroPro was started in 2012 by Ed O'Donoghue, who is a former professional rugby player. He played in Ireland, came home to Australia, and was like, I really want ice cream. I can't eat ice cream all the time and not get fat. I'm pretty sure that's like quite like where the story goes. So he made his own. He made FroPro ice cream, and then FroPro ice cream was stocked in Woolworths. I tried it for the first time in 2015 and loved the product straight away, which was cool. And then it just grew from there. So FroPro is obviously, I think most people now who are in a calorie conscious or a macro accounting community probably know who FroPro are. And I'm absolutely gassed that I get to be here Monday to Friday, to be quite honest. But yeah, so with the ice cream initially, and then pizzas were launched, burritos were launched, fried chicken was launched, and that takes us to where we are now. Without the ice cream now, actually, because ice cream no longer exists.
Yeah. Not totally devastated about that.
You didn't like it? I love the ice cream.
I don't know, man. I think I needed to give it like a second try, and I also think that maybe the ones... Did you do ones on sticks? They did, didn't they?
Yeah, they were FroPro singles.
I think they were okay, and I think the tub... I just remember, like... I feel like our brains don't very often pick up on physics, like feeling it. It's never like you're sitting in a chair and you're like, oh yeah, gravity's part of this, you know. But like to me,
holding me down,
holding me down, right? And I picked up, but I'd pick up the Fro Pro and be like, this is too light. This is too light for what it is. You know what I mean? Like I was like, why is it so light? Like I don't know why I'd notice it every time.
You must hate Halo Top then.
I thought it didn't bother me, but I just remember finding it strange. I think Fro Pro just had a bit of a different, maybe sweetener taste to it, and we've definitely progressed. Even Halo Top, there's only a couple of flavors I do like. I do think that some of them aren't the greatest. I think some of them are okay, but they made a birthday cake one back in the day, which was like the lowest calorie one they ever did. I think.
Man. Yep.
I think they got rid of it or something because we don't have it over here anymore.
I don't think. Do we have Fro Pro? Not Fro Pro. Do we have Halo Top at all anymore?
I think they might be getting rid of it slowly, but the best one they ever did was like a caramel swirl.
Yeah.
And it would say like now creamier on it, which makes me even more uncomfortable eating it because it's just like, why do you have to like bring that word into it? I don't know. It just seems strange to like kind of put it out there like it's ice cream. Of course it's creamy. But anyway.
Extra moist kind of vibe.
Yeah. I'll just succulent. You're like, just stop, bro. I don't want to. But it's good. It was good. And then what is it? Some of the other ones they brought out. Then the recent ones were the gym bod ones. Have you had one of them yet?
Yeah. So funny, I actually tried. So when gym bod, I don't know if you know much about gym bod, but I tried gym bod for the first time in 2020 when we were in lockdown in Melbourne, and back then they were actually gym boy, and they were only operational up here. And I don't know how they managed to get tubs to Melbourne, but I got some delivered to my door in lockdown. It was awesome. I had a great time. But the tubs back then were huge. They were much bigger than the tubs that are in retail at the moment. But yeah, their flavors have changed drastically since then. I think from memory, they had like a mint choc chip, a vanilla, and something else. And they hadn't quite nailed the texture yet. Whereas now they're a lot better now than they used to be. They've made some big changes. They've done a really good job.
So have you tried that's super interesting. I was not aware of that. I'm glad they changed it to bod because even though that seems weird, definitely not as bad as boy. Have you tried the choc top ones or whatever it is where they've got like the hard chocolate in it?
I think I tried the caramel one. Did they have a caramel one? A caramel one or a vanilla one?
Yeah, both. I think it's like they've poured ice magic through it.
Yeah. But then do they still do that one? Because they launched new flavors.
I don't know, man. We're like 2 years behind you guys. It's probably like thriving here and like dead over there. It's probably not even a thing. But I stopped eating them because a friend of mine, not me, but a friend of mine was getting really bad diarrhea, and I was like, you should stop eating them. So he did, and then I followed his lead because I was trying to be supportive.
Fair, totally fair.
You get it, right?
What sweetener do they use in that? Xylitol?
They use 3 because I was reading it for his benefit, obviously. Yeah. But it was like maltitol, xylitol, and erythritol. They use all of them.
Erythritol, yeah, the classic, the big 3. The SPD of the artificial sweetener world.
That's the best way it's ever been put. The SPD of the artificial sweetener world. That's pretty much what it is, right? The only thing you're missing 100%. Is like stevia, and at that point it would just make it taste like shit, so that's probably why they don't put it in there. But
can't use stevia, mate. It's too natty.
It is too natty. It is. But I was interested because there's been so many on the market, and I forgot that Fro Pro did ice creams originally. That's such a spin out, like, because I remember that, and they weren't that low in fat though, right? Weren't they like the other way? They were almost kind of keto-ish from macro memory.
There was we did a couple, because we did our regular Fro Pro ice cream, but we also did a keto scoop.
That's the one I'm thinking of, because that was like lower calorie, was it?
I got to be honest, I never tried the keto scoop because anything that has keto on it, I just avoid like the plague. So I ran from it pretty much straight away. But everything else I inhaled probably in record speed. Well,
we have to get into it now because I read this. We actually read it on the podcast the other day, which is going to come out after this one. But we were reading the back of the packet because I was talking to Connor and I was like, hey, a friend of mine gets really bad stomach problems from this. Can you read the back of it and tell me what you think? We're gonna make it real simple. You guys brought out pizzas, and I was like, hey, cool. And I spoke to a friend of mine up here, and he was like, what I do is I grab a bunch of chicken and I put it on the pizza. and then it gets even more protein, or like ham or something. And I was like, that's pretty smart. Like it's more calories, but even it ends up being like 85 grams of protein. That's a smart idea. So I got one, I did that, and I was eating them for a bit, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. And then something happened. You guys changed the bases, and I was like,
no.
I had one, and I looked at my partner, and I was like, this is different. And she's like, this is so different. Look, it even looks weird. And I was like, what happened? Why did they change them? And I was never going to eat them again. And then recently you told me you changed them back. I want to hear about the saga of the bases.
It's a really, really long story, like a really long story. But basically there was just some how do I put this? Like manufacturing mishaps that led through that entire period. And it was a really crap period, like a really, really crap period. Because the bases were thin and quite hard, just to try and cook them to the point where they needed to be cooked. So basically just manufacturing issues left, right, and center, which was a real shame because it did a lot of damage to the product that a lot of people loved. But it's in the past now. That's the main thing.
Well, no, it's cool to just have an explanation though, because I feel like most people will be forgiving, right? Because they can sit there all day and you can say, oh, it's affected the name, but people are people, which means they'll walk past it in the supermarket and be like, I know for a fact that no matter what kind of shit I try to lump together, I cannot make a pizza with 50 grams of protein in it for 528 calories. I'm just going to get a FroPro pizza. Fuck it.
Yeah, I think we've got a really good supportive community for FroPro, which I think is really cool. And that's something I knew that FroPro had even before I started working here, mainly because that's me. Like I was an avid supporter. So I think a lot of people are giving it another chance, or a lot of people try to stick with us throughout the entire period, which is we're incredibly grateful for. Like, absolutely love that. So a lot of people now are giving it another run at it, and the pizzas are night and day different now. They're so much better than they were for that little period there. I absolutely love them, but that's just me. A thing with food as well is that food is just incredibly subjective.
Yeah.
So you can't, like, in this world, you're never going to please everyone with a singular product, and that's the harsh reality of it. But like, it is what it is, kind of thing. But our latest batches that we've been making since, because we actually stopped making them for a period of time, just to clear up any issues, to get rid of absolutely every issue. And then once we relaunched again and started putting them back through the manufacturing facility, they were peak FroPro. Like, they're exactly how we want them to be.
Yeah, I had, like, as I said, I had one. This podcast is sponsored by Power Pit Rockingham, and Power Pit Rockingham is probably the best gym for you to train in if you are in Rockingham and want access to quality powerlifting equipment and a good environment to train in when it comes to powerlifting training or bodybuilding training. If you are in the area and want to do so, pop on down to Power Pit Rockingham, jump in for a casual session, and tell them that the Porta Potty sent you yesterday. And they are significantly better. The salami one is the one I would rate if I was going to rate one. I think they're all good. I think originally I tried, it was back when you guys did like ham and pepperoni. I tried that one.
Still do pepperoni ham. It's a Woolworths exclusive.
Yeah, I don't know if we stock, our ones are weird over here, so they don't stock all of them. So like if I walked into my Woolworths near me here, they do the pumpkin and feta one. They do, which is, I don't know, I'm too excited about that, but I'm sure it's good. I just haven't sort of branched out. They have the meat lovers one, which is quite good.
Good.
And then there's a third one. Oh, the peri chicken one, I think, which is weird because you guys do peri chicken and buffalo chicken, and but they're kind of the same thing. It's interesting.
Well, yeah, I think peri-peri's got more of that Portuguese sort of spice, and buffalo is like that real American, serve it with your wings kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's. When I say that, I just think they're similar. You know, same as the Italian. I suppose you could say the Italian salami is similar to the ham and pepperoni. They're not that different. Depends on what your taste buds are like. But I think overall, like, I think they're they're the flavors that I would go for. I don't know that we have any other ones except for I actually really got into the veggie supreme for a bit. The rectangle ones
the
you
slices. Yeah.
And put like stuff on top of them.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's funny actually. When I lived in London for 2 years, and I lived on vegetarian pizzas with like frozen vegetarian pizzas with meat on top, just because like that was the best value. Because the vegetarian pizzas were usually cheaper over there, and then I would just chuck like chorizo and stuff like that on top. It was the ultimate hack. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, that's what you want. That's but good pizza as well. People overrate it, but like they'll kind of go like, sorry, people underrate it. People will be like, pizza's pizza. Or I'm like, man, I don't feel that way at all. I feel like, I've had so much pizza now. I'm kind of picky.
Yeah, so 100%. That's me with food in general. To be quite honest, I'm very picky, but specifically burgers and donuts are my two where I'm like almost snobby about it.
Yeah. Yeah. We had some donuts here the other day that I would confidently say are some of the best donuts I've ever had. Really good filling. That's like, I always have donuts that like have good filling, but then they don't. Like, we had some Golden Gateton ones from like Woolworths the other day and they were okay. They were good. They were half decent. But I think when you go to a proper donut shop, this one was in the middle of nowhere. And it was like, we were like, and we walked in and we were like, wow, these look really good. Then we got them and I was like, I can't like these. I wanted to go back up there again, but I don't know what it's like over there. Do you live far from the city?
No, not really. Like 20-minute drive. It's not really that far at all. But if there's one thing I've noticed about Brizzy, and I might cop a bit of heat for this, but the donuts up here aren't very good. Like
really
at all? No, I think the best donut I've probably had is from a place called Brooklyn Donuts, and they're like a chain. So I miss Melbourne food. Is like food, people, and the coffee because I love my coffee. I absolutely love my coffee. But they're like
everything basically.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really miss the weather, but in saying that, I'm looking outside right now and it's absolutely pissing down. So it's like give and take.
Yeah, it's scorching here at the moment. It's like pretty like, but it's like the humidity's pretty bad here. Like at the moment, like last couple of days. But I work in a gym here and it's like kind of we work in like it's like an industrial kind of area and it gets hot and like it's
just high ceilings and tin roof.
Pretty high ceilings, pretty tinny. It's definitely up there. It's not ideal. Have you been to Perth?
No, never. I'd say it's on my bucket list, but I'd be lying. So
nice. I appreciate that because it's not on anyone's. But the way everything works here is you've got like Perth, and then like most people live. Well, not most people. People live in Perth. Probably most people live in Perth. Forget what I'm saying. But here's Perth, and then like we live down here. So people were like, "Oh, you live in Perth," and it's like if I wanted to be in Perth City, I would get in my car, and it'd probably take me just about an hour to get there.
Shit.
Yeah.
So you don't live in Perth, is what you're saying?
No, but if I'm like, I live in Rockingham, people were like, where the fuck is that? And then you're going to be like, it's like an hour south of Perth. And you're like, why didn't you just say Perth? And you're like, this is why I did originally say it.
Is it an hour, 100 Ks an hour?
Yeah, most of it. Yeah, because you just jump on the freeway. But it's, I mean, when I say an hour, I'm exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating, but it's just like there will be traffic. So like, but on like an amazing day, fuck man, you might get there in like 48 minutes. But that would be like everything's going extremely well. You know what I mean?
Every green light possible and no roadworks, which is never.
Dom Toretto's in front of you, just like everyone's moving out of the way. You know? Yeah. You're in the family. But yeah, dude, I was just interested because I wondered what it would like. It just must be so different in Brisbane. And I noticed it in Melbourne, man. I went everywhere and there was those Easy Marts everywhere. They were everywhere.
Yeah, man. We got a lot of Easy Marts up here as well. There's shitloads of them, man. And you can always get any energy drink you want there. Like anything. It nearly feels like they need to reach into their drawer under the counter and give it to you illegally. Like there's so many options. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Like that's hard. That's hard to get here, bro. Like if you want to get that in Perth, you've got to go to like an international store, and it's like $15.95.
Always, it's always so expensive. Like the running price for it is like $13, which is like for a box of cereal. Considering we get, I don't know. Actually, Kit Kat cereal is like $7.50. I don't know if you guys have that on the other side of the world yet, but it's not too bad.
Oi, here's the thing. It's not that great though, Zach, is it? Because I had it the other day.
It's not great. It's not great.
Finally,
it doesn't taste like Kit Kat. No, it doesn't taste like Kit Kat. It tastes like choc malt, but I'll take it.
You know what I'll take? Milo cereal that's pretty much the same thing, but has fucking way better macros.
And cheaper.
And well, I don't know what they stick. It's actually probably the same price here, eh?
But like volume wise, because Milo cereal, I'm a massive idiot when it comes to volume eating. If I don't like something, but I like the volume of it, I'll probably still eat it at some point or another. 100%. Almond milk, perfect example. Cauliflower rice, another great example. I hate cauliflower for whatever reason. Ate cauliflower rice, probably because I'm stupid. But Milo cereal, so much volume. That's the only real reason to eat like Cocoa Pops or Rice Bubbles. Just volume.
Yeah, I'm with you on that though.
Cocoa Pops taste good actually, but Rice Bubbles.
Cocoa Pops do taste good. I love that people are like, Rice Bubbles crank, and then they cover them in sugar, and you're like, so they don't crank. That's like saying, yeah, sugar cranks. Like, or they're like, people are like, Weet-Bix are good. It's like Weet-Bix are okay, but Weet-Bix boring. With honey and banana tastes good. But then it's just like, I like honey and banana. Like, really? Yeah. I do it out of easiness, man. I do it like, to me, Weet-Bix are like they're so ridiculously cheap as well. I feel like for what they are, like the normal Weet-Bix. But I find it interesting because you do so many like different recipes, right? And we're talking about volume. I cut a little bit of weight for a while there, and I decided, I think this was like a sneak thing. I was like, oh, what I'll do is I'll get like my missus like an awesome present for her birthday, and I bought her a Ninja Creamy.
Oh, what a great present.
Zach, I just happened to be cutting. All right. I didn't plan it.
It's like when you buy your girlfriend lingerie for Christmas.
Yeah. I just don't buy her anything and then go, you don't even need anything. You're perfect.
Oh, my girlfriend tells me she doesn't want anything and then I don't get her anything. And it just shows that you listen.
Dude, that's super important. They love it when you listen. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
That's huge. Well, that's what I did with the Creamy, right? She saw it. She never would have bought it, right? She was seeing all these mad videos. We never have the ingredients for that, rah. Then we got it. And I was like, we've got to get... The only thing is, did you go down the rabbit hole of the Jell-O? Did you go down that rabbit hole trying to find the Jell-O?
It didn't take me much. So if you ever need any American snacks, this is a big plug. If you ever need any American snacks, go to Bruce Super Convenience online. He's an online only now. He used to run a little shop in Canberra. Bruce Super Convenience, man. If you ever need even international energy drinks, he stocks cereals, all the chocolate bars from the US, the UK, Europe, some stuff from Abu Dhabi and like the UAE, and a lot of Asian snacks as well. He is the number one in Australia, man. Oh, don't go anywhere else. Don't shop anywhere else.
Wow. Dude, I didn't know they had different flavors of Twinkie.
Right? That's what I'm saying. He's got it all.
Wow. Well, I've been wasting my time going to all these annoying... We've got like an international store here, and I've tried some cool stuff, but it's still like, I don't know. It's like, I'm trying to think what we tried recently. We can compare one. I want to hear one that you, like a recommendation that you have. I'm trying to think... what did we try recently? I think we got a couple of energy drinks and stuff like that, but I remember, we got, Hostess.
Yeah.
They do like a vanilla cupcake. And they're in like it's like a double pack.
Yeah, and they got cream in the middle?
Yeah. They weren't that much to really brag about, but I tried them, and it was like, it's weird to me when something's so sugary that it also tastes that they've like injected it with artificial sweetener.
Yeah, it's like really like overly done, like way overly done.
I don't know. I kept eating it though. I definitely had a few of them.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I'm a massive, massive sweet tooth. So when something's like too sweet or like too rich for someone, it tends to be like just right for me. But even some of those Hostess, I think they're made by Hostess as well. They're called Ding Dongs, which is is just a hilarious name. Brilliant. I don't know who thought of that, but fucking raise absolutely straight away. But they're really shit. But because they're sweet, I really like them.
Okay. I've not tried a Ding Dong, but I must have to give it a go.
I bet you will.
I'm sure I will. And it will cost me fucking $18.95, I'm sure.
Oh,
It's
close. I
that's
think they're 1995 now. Inflation.
you know how it is. Yeah, inflation, $1 even. Yeah, none wages don't go up, but ding dongs fucking skyrocket. It's I like so what because you do a lot of videos with the Ninja Creamy now, and oh man, you've done so many incredible ones that look like absolutely wild. Like it must have been such a process. Like there's so many questions I have about that in general, but the first one I do want to ask, and we've touched on photography now. Your videos like look really good. Like a lot of people will just use their iPhone, right? But like you've put a lot of effort into it. Is that all you?
Yes, I do everything, which is a massive, massive pain. But I also really like the process, so there's that too. I used my iPhone for almost my entire page, with the exception of honestly maybe like 6 videos. And recently, like most recently, I think my last 4 or 5 I've done with my camera. And the reason I switched to my camera is just because I don't know when you're a photographer or a videographer and you have the ability to be able to create the content that does look good, but you don't, kind of says a lot about you as like a professional. So if I was like, if so just say as an example, if no one knew about my photography page that I have, and they came to my page and I was like, hey, I'll shoot a video for you, and they saw that I was just shooting recipes with my phone, they'd be like, no, I'm good, thanks though. Fair enough too. I'd probably be the same. But if I can use my camera and actually make it look a little bit better or make it look more quote unquote professional, then I'll do that. But yeah, I think a lot of people, I don't know. I would always recommend to someone to start with the phone because you're not going to go out and drop a lot of money on a camera on something that might not even work for you. Like it's a whole different ball game. Getting your like using your camera and then figuring out how to use said camera and then changing your editing process from like putting those videos onto your phone and either editing there or editing on your laptop as opposed to just like shooting on your phone, edit on your phone, upload from your phone. It's easier, heaps easier.
So easy. It's incredibly. You know what? I just got the Metas. You know the Ray-Ban Metas.
I want some so bad.
I would never buy them, but they were a present from my missus actually. So she saw the Ninja Creamy thing. She's like, I got to up that. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. I feel like there's so many ideas to shoot content with it, but I haven't yet. Like I'm like, oh, there's so many things I could do, and I'm like almost overwhelmed on what to shoot. But they're crazy, man. And they just shoot in portrait. You could do it. You could do like in a recipe and it'd be first person. It's pretty cool. But I have to ask, what camera do you use?
I've got a Sony A7 IV, which
very nice.
Yeah, well, I only picked it up in maybe August this year. Before that, I had a Sony A7S II. But the reason I didn't use that for my videos is the A7 III is when they started bringing in a much better continuous autofocus motor, and it just picks you up like that. It's super quick. The A7S II didn't have that, so it took 3 to 5 business days to try and find my face in a video. So didn't really want that. Or I had to like go manual focus and make sure I had to put every single thing right in the exact spot in my kitchen, which is also not what I do because I move shit around like there's no tomorrow. So I upgraded from that. But yeah, I've shot with a Nikon, I've shot with a Canon, and I've shot with a Sony, and I'll always go back to a Sony. Always. I can't change me from Sony now, even if the lenses are extortionately expensive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on obviously what you get. I mean, a lot of people will just go like a Sigma lens and try to cheap out on it or something like that. But it depends on obviously what you're doing as well. Like if you're sitting at a computer and you're doing talking head videos, I mean, like when someone does that and then they have an incredible, like they'll have this incredible lens for it or something, I'm always a bit like, man, you could get away with like just a 16 millimeter and just like, you know, and be sweat. And that's what I did. What do you reckon? I mean, just brand. You can't guess the camera, obviously. What brand do you reckon I'm loyal to?
I don't know. Probably Canon.
Oh, don't paint me as a Canon guy. Come on.
There's nothing wrong with Canon. I think Canon.
There's nothing particularly right with it either.
No, I don't know. The color profile looks really good, to be honest.
That's me.
Oh, I knew it. It's all that Perth sun.
That's what it is. I didn't even go outside. This is just default setting. No, this is I'm using a 16 to 55 millimeter lens, like an asshole, because I don't need to, but it was already on there. I have a 16, but it just wasn't on there, and it's a Sony FX30.
Oh yeah, how good.
I know, right? But it's, I mean, to be honest, I had a camera for ages, and I was like, oh, I need to get like a really expensive webcam. And then someone was like, you got a $2,500 camera, and I was like,
that's an expensive webcam.
It's an expensive webcam.
It's funny actually, because I just before you gave me a buzz on here, I was setting my A7 IV up on a tripod to sit behind my computer to use as the camera. But it was being like the tripod wasn't playing the game, so I was like, I'm just gonna have to use the camera. So now I feel really inadequate, which is fine. Like that happens, like a daily occurrence. But I just didn't want it to happen at this time period.
Yeah, look, I think as soon as I did this the other day when I spoke to someone, I had a nose strip on, and they like as soon as they answered the call, they were like, "Dude," and I was like, "I know." I've like officially sold out. Like I've got like the high quality camera, the microphone, the lighting. I had a nasal strip on. I was doing mindfulness before the call answered, like it. So to be honest, man, it's a deep road. Like it's dark. You don't want to go down it. The way you're living is just normal.
It's expensive is what it is, man. I couldn't have picked a more expensive hobby that wasn't like building rockets or something. Like, man.
It sucks, but you make really, really awesome high quality protein ice creams and shit. So it's worth it, right?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I would say it's absolutely worth it. Oh yeah, the creamy. That's what we're talking about.
We were talking about the creamy. So like, yeah, I was hunting down the Jello stuff, and then I worked out that you could just use some like vanilla pudding mix, and then I worked out that
the
Cotties one.
Yep.
And then I worked out you just don't even really need that, to be honest. I like you could just like milk and protein powder actually still just comes out fine.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's either that or just use a little bit of guar gum or xanthan gum. Or if you can't be asked using those, the top two ingredients in Cotty's vanilla pudding mix is sugar and corn flour or maize starch, so cornstarch. So you could always just put a little bit of sugar in it and a little bit of corn flour or cornstarch, and then...
This podcast is sponsored by PedTest Australia. If you plan on using or are currently using performance-enhancing drugs, it is very important that you make sure you are doing so, having them been tested before you use them or while you are using them, to make sure that you take care of your health. And you can also recommend that the people around you do so as well. Go to PedTest Australia on Instagram to find out more about the details on how you can test your current performance-enhancing drugs that you are using, or you can find out more about testing other compounds or things that you are putting in your body if you would like to make sure that you take care of your health.
You're pretty much good to go from there. Like you don't really need pudding mix.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was using, I don't know if you guys have this over there. You guys have probably better stuff over there. We have something here called Fit Milk by Rockaby Farms.
I haven't seen it in stores. I've seen it online, but we had the Complete Dairy did a high protein milk. And now Paul's Protein Plus or Paul's Plus Protein, they do a protein milk as well. But their marketing is bang on because they're like 16 grams of protein per 300 mil.
That's, yeah. See, that's a bit tricky, isn't it? Because like milk already has like 11 or 12 grams depending on what milk it is.
It's already decently high because it's dairy. It's going to be decently high. But to then, yeah, I don't know. I really like the Paul's Protein milk because it's just milk. Like it just tastes like milk. I think a lot of like things with added protein don't always taste the best. Actually, case in point, the Cadbury protein mousse or custard or whatever it is. I tried that.
The tub?
In
the tub thing?
The little purple tub.
Mm-hmm.
I tried that and it was easily one of the worst things I've eaten in my life.
Really? That's how high quality.
So bad.
Now, Zach, so we're going to do a quick role play. Cadbury has just hit you up for a full-time sponsorship. You've just tried their protein pudding. What's your reaction?
No, thank you.
Oh, come on. I would.
No, thank you. Unless Cadbury are listening to this, then yes, please.
Yeah, I would be like, look, this has to be one of the best things I've ever eaten. The macros.
Actually, I need to probably set a bit of a record straight here because the first time I had it, it was so there are. I don't think people realize this, or maybe people do, and they just choose to ignore it. But before a lot of your favorite products get to the shops, they're frozen. And these Cadbury pots are exactly that. They're frozen before they're put on the shelf, and then they defrost, or they're like put in the back and then they defrost. So mine actually, I don't know if something had gone wrong in the defrost process or anything like that, but it was incredibly grainy and the texture was disgusting. And I know a couple of guys who had the same experience, so it wasn't just me. But I've eaten a smooth one, and it is better. But I'm continuously scarred from that singular one that had disgusting texture. Or that actually, like, trying to eat it was not good. I hate food wastage. I had to throw it out after like 2 spoons.
Maybe everything's grainy here in Brisbane.
Maybe. I think it might be. It might. Maybe it's the, I don't know, the heat, the humidity, but then I guess you've got the same thing over there.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we wouldn't even know if it was frozen. It just, it becomes liquid by the time we get it. But what about the Paul's chocolate dessert thing they did that was like the same sort of, Paul's did like a chocolate dessert, and it was like, I thought it tastes just like Yogo. I thought it tastes just like a Brown's Yogo.
I don't know if I had it. You say Brown's Yogo?
Yeah, it tastes just like that.
Like, yeah. I don't know if I had it, to be honest. I had the vanilla one, and I love custard. I love custard, but the vanilla one was a bit thin and sort of hit the mark, but also somewhat missed it. So I don't know what that was about. Maybe that was just an internal battle I had with myself. I don't think I tried the chocolate one.
The chocolate one definitely slaps harder than the vanilla, but I like the vanilla as well. But when something tastes like a color?
Yeah, it's yellow.
Yeah, like you were like, This is yellow goop, and I know it's yellow goop. I can taste that it's goop. But to be fair, dude, I said this to someone the other day. We have a TV here at the gym, and I'll play like Pumping Iron or something. And I was talking about dieting, and I was like, man, can you imagine what it must have been like in the 80s? Where there was no protein products? No one would have dieted.
And like 10 years ago, there was no protein products. But I was saying to someone the other day, I can't remember who it was. I was like, you are in the best time to be a bodybuilder or to be like someone who's trying to diet. You've got so much information at your fingertips. You don't have to eat chicken and rice. You can track things using a barcode scanner and an app, and it just like puts the calories and the macronutrient profile into the app for you. You don't need to write shit down on a piece of paper. You don't need to eat the same shit every single day. Like, now is the best time to try and diet at all. Like, imagine how shit Arnold Schwarzenegger had it. And I wonder he was never like 2%, unless he was at some point and I have missed it. But man, it's like
he definitely wasn't. But like, you see what he used to eat, bro. It'd be like beef that looked like it wasn't cooked all the way through and shit. You're like, brother, who's leave it in the pan for a little bit longer? What are you doing?
At least sear it. God.
Yeah, just put the lid on and it will cook it all the way in the middle. Just for like not even just 2 minutes. Like I eat tacos all the time. I'm the mince king. When I cook mince, like, it's cooked. I'm not eating half cooked mince. But I don't know, man. Maybe he's just cooler than us. Maybe we're just weak.
It's cast iron stomach sort of stuff right there. I bet he eats medium rare chicken while he's at it.
Mate, I can tell you now. I try not to tell this story because it makes it sound like I'm like, when I did this, but I worked as an offsider on a mine site for a small period of my life. I'm not a hard worker, don't worry. I'm not trying to claim it, but I did work there. And these guys used to get full meals, chicken, pumpkin, whatever else their missus had like shoved into a Tupperware container for them, and they would just put it on the windshield, bro, just on the windshield of the car like this, 40-degree day.
Way.
And I was like, there's no way you're going to eat that. And they would stand there, pick it up, and be like, she's ready, and just eat it right in front of me. And I'd be like, how do you not?
Way.
And these guys never took a day off work, bro. No food poisoning, nothing.
How built different. These guys just built different.
Dude, how do they survive? Like, I'm with you right now, right? If you needed to, you could get up and walk to a microwave right now, gourmet meal. You know what I mean? But when I worked there, we couldn't get to a microwave. It was unbelievable to me. And they were all just like, put her on the windshield. I was like, mate.
No chance.
I'm a suburban boy, man. I just can't do it, But either way, I've finding it interesting hearing all the ins and outs of this sort of stuff. What about My Protein? You've been with them for a while. Like, how did that come about? Because I feel like I followed you when maybe, and I have to ask about this because maybe one day it'll happen to me if I'm good enough with my marketing, but I feel like your followers were like 25 or 30 or something, and then I just think they just like 1,000, and then they just like shot to over 120 pretty quickly.
It was yeah. So My Protein first, I was using their products for ages, and I was tagging them in my stuff probably for about 6 months, 6 months consecutively. Like every single day, I was posting and tagging them, and then I just got a message one day. They said, "Hey, I think we should work together. Send me an email here." And I was like, "Fuck yeah! What's the worst that can happen here?" So I sent the email and became an affiliate, which I was like gassed about. It was awesome, and they give you like a certain amount of money you can spend per month to get product, and then you just promote your code, and then you get paid commission. It was commission only, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, I love this. But I actually, I didn't know that I got like a monthly amount of like supplements that I could get, or like you can buy anything on their website with the money that you get. And I didn't know that. So I thought it was just like an initial one-off at the very start when you sign with them. And then after that, I was just using my own code to buy products. And then like, must have been like 5 months later, the influencer manager messaged me and she was like, "Hey, you haven't used your allowance for this month. So I've used it for you." And I was like, "Allowance? We're getting allowance?" She was like, "Yeah, you didn't know?" I was like, oh, no idea. So I was extremely naive. And then it got to a point, I think I hit around 10 to 12,000 followers. And this would have been, I started going back into the office. So it would have been about 2021. And I got a message and it was, "Hey, we want to start working with you exclusively. So, no promoting other brands, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Damn, this is a really cool opportunity." And she was like, "Here's the offer." And it had an allowance and a retainer. And at the time, I had obviously never been offered anything like that. So I was like, "That's really cool, absolutely." And she's like, "Here's the contract." The contract was like a big, scary 12-page document that I had no idea what I was looking at. So I was like, "Yep, no worries," signed it, sent it back. And then that was a 12-month contract. So I fulfilled that contract. And then in that year, I went from 10 to 50 really, really quickly. And then I went from 50 to about 65, 67 quickly as well. I stalled around 66, 67, probably for a solid few months. And then I got, yeah. And then I started prep. So I was getting ready to compete. And then went from like 67. I must have had maybe like 10 videos consecutively just blow up, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. I went from 60 to 100K or 65 to 100K in very quick succession, like maybe 2 months, something like that. It was ridiculously quick. And then in that time frame as well, my contract was expiring and I renewed again with My Protein. So I've been with them since 2020. And then I think the growth from like 100, so I hit 100,000 in 2022, and it's been just like sort of slowish from there. Some things pop, some things don't. And then last year, I went through a bit of a stage towards the middle to end of last year where I just had some like really bad mental health and I wasn't feeling myself and I didn't want to post. I didn't want to make content. And My Protein and I came to somewhat of a mutual agreement where I wasn't going to renew the contract. Something like that anyway. And so we didn't renew together. And then I packed up, moved to Brisbane, come up here and re-signed with My Protein because I've worked with them my entire time on social media. And I love them. Like they're great to me. Hopefully I'm great to them. Well, I haven't said anything bad about me, so hopefully. But like I went over to the UK last year and did last year? Yeah, last year and did some work with the UK team over there, which was really cool. Really, really appreciated them giving me the time of day over there, really, because they've got bigger fish to fry. But they've been really, really good. But yeah, they've sort of seen like the quite rapid growth in that time period, and they invested in me, and I equally invested in them. Not that I need to; they're a fucking huge company, but every bit counts.
Yeah, for sure. No, it sounds like you've kind of taken care of each other, man. That's good. And it's interesting to hear about the growth too. Like, did you know, when you're looking into it, I don't know if you ever looked into it, you know, like I looked into it and there's all these, you know, posts like 3 times a day and like all this ridiculous stuff. Like, did you just post once a day or?
Just once a day. I used to, it was really funny. I don't see it this way anymore. But when the account was a lot smaller, and even like probably right up until towards the end of my prep, I was still posting every single day. And in prep, I was still eating like the dumb shit that I was posting. Like I would post it and eat it that day, because I'm stupid and stubborn, and I just wanted to be able to eat that stuff while I was in prep. It was really dumb, and I probably shouldn't have done it that way, but I did because I like food, and I wanted to be able to show people that you can like lose the weight and eat good food. So, like, what better way to show them than to go through an entire prep series and still eat good food? Made sense to me. I still, again, shouldn't have done it. Really dumb, but did it anyway. But I forgot the question.
Oh yeah, so you like people are always just going crazy about like posting, and you said you just posted once a day. Yeah.
Just post once a day, man. Just post once a day. You don't need to post 15 times a day unless you want to. Like, and if you want to, then go for it. Like, go for gold. I think algorithms change so frequently now that there's not really a go-to formula for growth. Like, there have been some awesome accounts that have grown. Aussie Fitness is a really good example of this. He's got 2.7 million followers on Instagram, and over 3 million on TikTok, I think. Maybe more. Well, it's definitely over 3. But he doesn't post as much anymore. He still posts a bit, but he's never posted like more than once in a day. It's just that his quality of content is really good, and he's like very informative in his posts. That's pretty much it. Like, people will follow the account for a specific reason. Like, if they're getting use out of it, they will follow it. If it's just like, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's entertainment, whether it's education, whether it's food and recipes and stuff like that. If you post good quality, informative content that, hey, maybe you do need like a hook within the first 3 seconds to make people want to stay on the video. We can all blame TikTok for that because people's attention spans are like at an all-time low. But it's always going to help. And then it's on you to create the best quality content you possibly can to be able to keep people there, like on your page, and keeping them engaged and entertained. That you can post 15 times a day, but if all the posts are shit quality and don't really have any useful information in it for a specific person, they're not really going to engage with the content. They're not going to follow. They don't really care.
Yeah, it's a really good point, man. And I think it's dependent on what you do as well, right? So like my situation is difficult because it's a podcast, right? And there's podcast clips floating around everywhere, and they're posted by accounts that aren't even the podcast account because they're just recycled. It's a bit generic. Where you've picked something that's great. It's food, man. People love food.
Everyone loves food, right? Except for I'll just eat because it's fuel. Food is fuel.
Yeah, these assholes. Just eat chicken instead. You're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to eat chicken instead when I can have some fucking protein dessert that has the same calories in it. Like, dude, someone's not telling you to replace every meal with this. Like, this is something you to just enjoy. Like, you must get so much of that, right?
I don't as much anymore. My reach on my Instagram and on my TikTok really isn't quite what it used to be. But I think that, again, is probably... that might be down to post frequency, because sometimes when I had posted consecutively over, let's say 2 weeks, I would post like 10 times, then things would start to pick up. I think Instagram probably rewards that a little bit for you. But when I post like twice a week, it sort of just hits around the same number. But when things start popping off, you get all sorts of dumb shit like that. Like, I had a comment today. I'll read it out to you. And it wasn't even on my fucking post. It was on someone else's post. But it was someone replying to me, because he was talking about, he stitched a video that was like, take Viagra as pre-workout and it'll boost your testosterone and blah, blah, blah. And then he just made a funny remix of it where he was like working out with the boner. And I was like, haha, funny, haha, very hilarious. But then I saw this, I commented on it, and I was like, "Oh, actually, use Cialis or to Tadalafil.
To Daffodil, I think. I know exactly what you're talking about. I haven't taken
Tadalafil.
it, but my friend with the diarrhea, he takes it.
Yeah, I was like, Cialis or Tadalafil is where it's at. Take that bad boy, and you'll get ridiculous pumps both in and out of the gym." And then this guy, I don't know why I felt the need to comment this. And then he just wrote, "Bro, you have gyno in a natty show. Why give advice?" I was like, well, all I said was, "I've had it since I was 13, but thanks for looking at my pics with two kissy faces." Like, I don't know what encouraged someone to write that, but
yeah, it's
here we
weird,
are.
man. Hey, like it's like, and it's lucky that you're such a positive dude and can kind of like not take it like more, because like it's just sort of like so unnecessary, and like it's just the internet in a nutshell, which is the hard part. Like you mentioned before about Instagram rewarding you for posting, and this is part of the scariness of it when you have to try to be not taken in by this and focus on the negative side. But someone said it to me once about that, and when you're looking into posting more and stuff, and people said Instagram wants you to do whatever will keep people on the app.
On the app, yeah. It's why this is. I try to explain. I don't really try to explain it to people, but like people, let's say for instance, the poor girl that sits next to me at work, I whinge about it because it's very annoying for me. But I'll pull up an Instagram story, and it'll get anywhere between 15 to 25K views regularly. That's like an average sort of view. Whenever I have to put a link on my Instagram, 3,000 views tops, like absolutely tops, and it won't budge. Like it'll maybe get like 3.4K, but it's because Instagram is like.
This podcast is sponsored by Bulk Gym Chalk. Do you struggle to hold onto your deadlifts? If so, it can be very important to make sure that you have good quality chalk and access to that chalk. So go to Bulk Gym Chalk. You can find them on Instagram and get yourself some good quality chalk so that you can make sure that you can train in the gym and get the best out of your training while doing so.
That link doesn't lead to anything else on Instagram. It's going to take people away from the app. We don't want to take people away from the app. Not happening.
Yeah, see, this is an interesting. This came up with someone else as well when it came to that's. I've heard that before, and then people say like link in bio, don't say stuff like that. People say that can be bad for whatever reason.
Yeah, I've tried all sorts. I've tried replacing the I with an apostrophe mark, or like I've tried replacing the O in bio to a 0. They just seem to get it all. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, like we know the tricks. Yeah, but I mean, like, so someone said to me collaboration once, because I said, "Oh, we'll collaborate on a post," right? Because I do a lot of that with my podcast ones, almost all of them, right? Because it's like you've been on the podcast, we'll collaborate, and we'll talk about that later. You might say to me, "Hey, man, we won't collaborate." I know, oh, okay, fair enough. Some people care about their grids, and yours looks pretty, so fair enough, right? But it's the sort of thing where someone said that he goes, "Oh no, I don't collaborate too often. It's bad for the algorithm," and I was like, why would collaborating be bad? And he goes, well, think about it. Instagram knows that you're trying to get more people to see it. And Instagram's a business and they allow people to boost posts and, you can pay for it. So if they can stunt your reach when it comes to collaborating a post, it would make sense that they do because you'll get frustrated and eventually might boost a post or you'll try something else and you'll try whatever you can. And that's kind of what you're talking about. We'll essentially all get to a point where we want our content to get reach. So we'll just do whatever we have to so that Instagram pushes it.
Yeah,
and
pretty much. Because like, as a creator, what else are you going to do?
Yeah. And people don't care now these days, really. Like I've noticed, like sponsors, you've got a really good reach. So sponsors will be like, oh, wow, this guy's got over 100,000. Maybe there's that incentive there for them. But with me as a podcast, like I've spoken to people before and then they've gone, oh, can we see the metrics of a podcast? And I've gone, hey, look, man, like I don't have like, 2,000 monthly listeners or 3,000 monthly listeners or anything that I'm aware of. I can't offer you that if that's what you're looking for. To be honest, my TikTok reels or like Instagram reels, the ones that have randomly gone off, that's the most reach I've ever gotten. And that's just because like you've condensed an hour or something that people aren't going to, or maybe don't want to listen to into this quick little flashy clip.
Yep. 100%. Because people's attention spans aren't long enough. But you know what you need to do actually? You need to, on your TikTok page, I don't know if you've tried this or not. Have you seen when people like repost clips from a podcast, but they have like the Subway Surfers running along the bottom of it?
Yeah, I know what you're talking. I say that so much.
Just do that because people are going to stare at that and just listen to whatever you're saying.
Yeah, I should try it. It seems like dude, I started posting. I spoke to a guy who posts a lot, and he just said, man, twice a week, I just post something I've already posted. He's like, I just recycle 2 posts a week. I literally go back to 6 months before and put a post in. He goes, and no one notices, and they get hits.
No, not many people will notice. But if you're doing that on TikTok, TikTok will notice.
Will they?
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to get invited to the TikTok office through work, which was fucking awesome. Their office is so sick. But they every time you upload the video. Every time you upload a video to TikTok, this is like when people get the 300 view jail or whatever they want to call it, 300 to 500 views. You upload to TikTok and they'll put it out to people who support niches that they think that you are, if that makes sense. So if yours is a podcast account and it's already relatable to the audience that are podcast listeners, then they'll try and put it out to more podcast listeners. But if it goes to those podcast listeners and it performs like shit, they just won't try and push it. Or they'll go like the next week, they'll try and give it a little more reach. And if it still doesn't click with audience, they won't bother. In TikTok will recognize that video as not performing well. And if you try to re-upload that same video, same shit.
Wow.
Same shit. They pull it back straight away. And the guy said it, I was like, how the fuck do they know?
Do they have people monitoring it like that?
I don't know. I didn't ask. I should have asked, but I was like, surely you don't know that's unless it's like any sort of coding in the back end of the upload or anything like that. But I was like, how? Like, do I need to like change a sound on it or something? Like,
there has to be something. I mean, it has to be something. But I mean, he was doing it with posts. So,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Not a reel. So maybe it was less detectable. Like where a reel, the audio would be the same or the visuals would be the same. But this post, he writes things in his notes and then screenshots them and then puts that as the post. And so maybe, I don't know, man, maybe it didn't pick it up like that, but it's getting better and better, man. Eventually we'll get to a point where it'll be so, I'm curious to see what being a content creator in 15 years even means, man, because I feel like, I don't know, it's not to say that it won't be a thing, but I don't know, something's going to give eventually, man. Like something's going to get to a point where so many people have so much reach that maybe it just isn't much of a thing anymore. Like 50,000 followers will mean nothing.
It's funny because the 50,000 almost means nothing now, which is nuts. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
Really, really crazy. But also, on top of that, I was about to say something.
We were talking about TikTok and the videos, and
it was where content creation is going to. Oh, I was going to say, like where content creation. Speaking of where content creation is going to be, I think heavily depends on how you as a consumer are, because I think in the early stages of social media and before things had to have like hashtag paid ad or hashtag ad or hashtag paid, hashtag invite, whatever it may be, or hashtag gifted, people didn't realize that ads were playing right in front of them. So now that things need to have that sponsored tag or paid ad or whatever it may be, people are a lot more switched on. But not only that, I think after seeing enough ads, you go, that's a fucking ad. Like, you know, straight away. And it doesn't matter if it's got any of those hashtags or like a sponsored post tag on it. You know what an ad is when you see it. You just like, consumers have gotten so much smarter because we're evolving with technology and we're evolving with social media. So I think we have the Kardashians to blame for that. I blame them for everything to do with social media, to be honest. But consumers are getting really, really smart when it comes to these things. And people don't always want to be sold shit. They just want to be entertained.
I agree. I blame the Kardashians for everything to do with social media and actually anything that's natural disaster related. I know it's controversial.
Yeah, or like Kanye West's downfall, also blame them for that.
Well, I mean, there's a little bit going on there. Kanye is an interesting one, right? Because social media wise, he's another one that's like, it's been like the rise and fall of Kanye. Before it was like he was like the guy everyone wanted to watch something. Now you're only watching because you're like, fuck, what's he done now?
It's like a car accident. You can't look away.
Yeah, that's a brutal comparison, but it's true. I won't keep you for too much longer, so we'll do the speed round because I do a speed round with everyone, and yours I have to do one with you because you're a speed round kind of guy.
I love a speed round. Let's do it.
I knew you would. So, you're on an island and you're stuck there, and there just so happens to be any form of microwave, freezer, refrigerator, anything you need. Basically, any infrastructure you could possibly need other than one that will actually help you in that situation. And you can have one protein product, right? And I'm going to give you the caveat of it cannot be a FroPro or My Protein product, because obviously that's too easy. So you have the accessibility to anything you want.
But only one product.
One product. Let's just say, like, I don't know, you're on the island, you're not getting saved, and it's like, hey, look, man, enjoy yourself a protein product before you go. Choose one.
Do you know what? Every single day, almost every single day, I eat one of these, and it'd be a YoPro salted caramel pouch.
Oh my God, really? Okay.
Every single day I eat one.
I've got one in the fridge here. Like, they're good. I remember being pleasantly surprised. I remember being like, you know what? This tastes like caramel and also doesn't taste like caramel at the same time.
You go, you know what? This could be so much worse. I like it.
Yeah, basically. You know what? My standards aren't that high. This goes all right. I like that. I like that. You got to try the Paul's chocolate one and let me know what you think.
All right, I'll pick it up on the way home.
Do it. Absolutely do it. I mean, I didn't mean to put that much pressure on you. That's pretty full on. But if you're willing to do that, please do. Paul, sponsor me. Come on. Okay, so we haven't spoken a lot about exercise, and mainly just because I was way too intrigued by the food science that is counting Zacros. But if you could only do 2 exercises for the rest of your life because you were in a hypothetical land where that was a thing, what would you choose?
Incline dumbbell bench press and probably a deadlift.
Are these based off enjoyment? We're not thinking about muscle growth here.
No, just enjoyment. I love deadlifts. It's by far my favorite exercise.
What do you think about sumo deadlifting?
Next question.
Nice. Yeah, that's the way to do it. I agree. Trap bar deadlift. Anyway, so next we're gonna
trap bar sumo.
Yeah, trap bar sumo. Trap bar Jefferson. Figure that one out. If you could spend 24 hours with anyone, they can be alive or dead, and they can also be fictional. They don't have to be a real person, but you can spend 24 hours with them, assuming more like 13 because you'll sleep.
All right. And it doesn't have to be fitness related at all. It can just be anyone ever. Please
don't make it fitness related. You've got more to you than that, Zach. Come on.
It's true, actually. I really do. Who would I say is my hero? Do you know what? This is going to sound really dumb, but my grandfather.
Oh, that doesn't sound dumb.
Purely, I mean, it sounds a little bit dumb because I could have spent time with him, but he passed away in 2011, and before that, I didn't really get to see him that much. So, probably my grandfather.
That was a very wholesome answer, and I'm sorry to hear that. That's actually cool. I like it when people give an answer like that because you could have said something actually stupid and you didn't.
Well, I was going to say Haney Rambod, but I think my grandfather is probably a bit more important.
Yeah, I feel like Haney Rambod might be like, you do like an hour and you do like a workout and you'd be like, man, this is really cool. And then like, you'd be like, what do you want to do now? And he'd be like, we probably don't have anything in common. Do you just want to, I don't know, get some food or something?
Like, work out. Should we work out again? Should we go to Zambreros maybe? I don't know.
Well, aren't we going to do 3 hours and then come back later on in the evening, do 3 hours? That's what Arnold did. I have to ask then, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Invisibility.
I love the conviction there, like the quick fire. Like,
yeah, I've thought about this every day for the last 30 years of my life.
Why invisibility? For perverted reasons?
100%. No. Think of all the places you could just like go. Like or teleportation, because they kind of go a little bit hand in hand. Like if I'm going on a plane and I can't be asked buying a ticket, invisible, sneak on, away you go.
Zach, now here's the thing. You were worried you were going to say something stupid, but you might have just said the stupidest thing I've ever heard, right? You can teleport, so you're going to teleport Instead of directly somewhere, you're going to teleport onto a plane and sit on it for 10 hours.
I said or teleportation, or teleportation. If I could teleport, fuck, I'm going anywhere.
I was going to imagine that. Someone's like, fuck yeah, I can teleport. Then they teleport, sit on a plane for 24 hours all the way to the place they could have teleported to. That's amazing.
Like plane food and what?
Well, you know what it is? It's that David Goggins life. You know what I mean? I'm not going to teleport easy. I'm going to grind hard. You know what I mean? I'm going to take that 24-hour flight. I'm just going to teleport onto it.
Exactly. Who's going to carry the boats?
Who's going to carry the boats? That's a good point, man. Who's going to carry the boats? Teleportation or time travel all day. Like anyone who says something different is wild to me. People say some really, really kind of stuff where I'm like they're like mind reading. I'm like, ugh, I don't even like hearing my own thoughts. I don't want to hear other people's. No. If you were on death row and you could only eat one meal, preferably not something that was incredibly high in protein, what would it be?
Do I get courses?
Don't go too heavy, but yes, whatever you like.
I've been waiting for this question. All right, so I'm probably going to skip an entree because I'm not really a big entree guy, but if I'm going to have to choose anything, I don't know, maybe onion rings. Because I really like onion rings. I don't eat them enough. I love them. But, all right, so we're going for a main, and we're getting a burger. But it's not going to be like your average, like, oh, I'll get a quarter pounder because I like them. No, dumb, get out of my face. Smash patties, 5 of them. Cheese on every single layer, bacon on every single layer, topped with caramelized onion, topped with a waffle, topped with garlic aioli, 1 piece of fried chicken, another piece of cheese, another piece of fried chicken, and another waffle.
Wow.
And then donuts for dessert.
Go top tier donut. What's top tier donut flavor?
Flavor?
Or like combo. Don't say jam.
No. God, no.
Yeah, good.
What?
Yeah, good. Yeah. People say jam, man. It's a thing.
Yeah.
People say it.
It's because people don't know what they're talking about.
I agree.
Well, I kind of have to give it to Pex Road in Melbourne, do an unbelievable strawberry donut. Now, I think when most people look at a strawberry donut, they think of the pink icing that tastes really fake and like the inside of a Freddo, which is, don't get me wrong, phenomenal. One of my favorite strawberry flavors. But they use real strawberries and cook them down into the icing, and they make an incredible strawberry OG donut, or their apple fritter. I love an apple fritter, and they do an unreal one.
I hadn't had one of those till recently, and I rate them. I was very surprised because I'm not crazy into like apple pie or anything, and that was killer.
Oh, so good. If you have like a soft, fluffy dough with apple, like correct apple, cinnamon, and glaze ratios, unbelievable.
I'll have to make sure I give it a go. The only other thing I had similar that was like a while ago, Macca's was doing. So probably 3.5 years ago, you guys probably had these, you know, the apple pies they do?
Yeah, yep.
They did one that was like half raspberry jam, half
and the custard,
half banana custard or something like that. Man, that was good.
Yeah, I love those.
Are you patting a dog or? Oh yeah, you are. Oh wait, is that your dog?
Yeah, he is.
And you're allowed to have him in the office.
Yeah, he's great. He's great when he's not destroying the Christmas tree. But he was napping that whole time. He just woke up.
Oh, nice. I love that he's refusing to look at the camera. He's not getting a look. Hey, buddy. He's like, what is? I love that dogs just have no idea what technology is. Hey, they're like, they just no concept.
I bet if there was a barking dog on the screen, he'd be all for it.
I'd be losing his shit. Yeah. I love that. I don't know if you're this kind of guy. Do you have a favorite film? I feel like you come across like a film dude, but maybe you're not.
Well, actually, good timing for this guy to pop up. The Little Rascals, 1994. And
oh yeah.
The two main characters are, my favorite main character is Alfalfa. This guy's name is Alfalfa.
Oh, very nice. I like it. So
perfect. Very good timing indeed. But yeah, 100% the Little Rascals. Or if I have to choose something that's not purely a favorite for almost nostalgic reasons, it'd be Law-Abiding Citizen with Jared Butler, Jamie Foxx. This
makes the death row question so much more morbid.
Yeah.
Remember, I can't remember what he gets, but
he got the T-bone steak.
right? I remember thinking he killed the guy with the spork. For years, I thought that. And I was like, that was gangster. And then it turns out it was the T-Bone's still gangster, but the spork, I was like, you've got to really put some effort into that. I thought that was
100%.
impressive.
Might as well stab a guy with just a metal spoon. Like, that's amazing.
Just punch him to death at that point. It's a spork, you know what I mean? It's I don't even feel like a spork's useful. Like the spork to me is a great representation of when you create something that can do two things, but can't do either of them great.
Oh, 100%. 100. You might as well just eat soup with the regular fork at that point.
Yeah, dude, I don't get it either. What about music? Like you mentioned J. Cole. So you hip hop guy through and through?
Almost anything but country, with a select couple of songs that I like. I've gone through a lot of phases. My dad being a musician really kind of spurred that on. So anything rock, I listen to a bit of screamo every now and then, depending on what lift I'm about to do. Massive hip hop fan. Love hip hop.
Do you like anything Australian hip hop? That's a no.
Look, it depends. I used to listen to a lot of All Day, and Hilltop Hoods, obviously, but I don't know when the last time Hilltop Hoods put out a good song was, to be honest. Bliss and Esso from wow, really showing my age here, because I think when people think Aussie hip hop now, they think of like, I don't know, who's those guys who from Sydney, the Bankstown guys.
I feel like you're referring to like 1-4.
Yeah, those guys.
But yeah, that's not really what Australian hip hop when I was like into it, sounded like if 15 years ago some guy was doing like it was like yelling at someone over a bad drug deal on like a Telstra payphone and you just put music behind it.
It's any Bliss and Esso song ever.
But basically, like Bliss sounds normal. As soon as Esso drops in, it's just about like bucket bongs and VBs and like barbecues. And I love it. Like I actually coach a couple of guys who made some pretty wicked hip hop back in the day, and like I like it. But my boss, who I work with here, hates it with a passion. Like, so it's so funny. But Australian hip hop is so different than normal hip hop. It's the only hip hop in the world where people are like, yeah, it's not really.
I do have to admit, I do listen to more British rap than I do Australian or hip hop. But there is a duo of guys from Melbourne called Black Shades and Arrogance, who are an unreal little hip hop duo. If you have a spare second, check them out, because they got some good stuff.
Black Shades and Arrogance. Okay. All right. I've never heard of them. So I'm super interested in that, because man, it is few and far between now Australian hip hop. Like it is not, the only guys I remember coming out, I think are actually from, I don't know if they're from Brizzy. I might have this wrong, but have you heard it? You would have heard Triple One. They've been on the radio a bit. I'll look at send me a Black Shade song and Arrogance, because I'll struggle to remember that. Send me one of their songs and I'll send you a Triple One song. They did a couple of songs that they did a song with Matt Corby and stuff. Like you must have heard it at some point. I'm assuming at the office you're in, it's just like Triple J and like Piccolos all day, right? Is that what the office is like?
No, that'd be Melbourne. Do you know what? We listen to a lot of Fred again here.
I feel like I know of Fred again, but I don't know what that sounds like for some reason. I feel like I've seen the name.
Electronic dance music is pretty much the gist of what we have cracking in the office. That or Top 40 or One Direction, depending on who gets the auxiliary called that day. I'm obviously the One Direction one, so
that's what I was thinking. Yeah. Me too. Yeah. Man, I've really enjoyed meeting you, man. It's crazy. I feel like I watched your content for ages and said the same thing every time. I was like I'd be watching it, I'd be like, fuck, that looks. My protein. I don't have that. Like I'd be like yelling at my phone. But I recently got some My Protein stuff, and I'm going to say this because it's a good thing. I got some My Protein stuff, and the UK one is like super different than like the Australian one, right? Like they're pretty separate entities or whatever. Like obviously they're joint, but like it took a little while for me to figure out like, okay, this is the Australian one. And then when I went on there, I came across a couple of bad reviews, and I was like, damn it, I've already ordered it. I'm not going to get my order. And some people said they weren't going to get their order, and I was like, no, I got my order. And it was all good, and I was very happy with it. So I actually want to plug that as a good thing for My Protein, because I was genuinely like, I'm not going to get this. What have I done? And I tried what were they called? They were good. They weren't amazing, but I kept eating heaps of them. They were like
Are they wafers?
Something logs. They were almost like a Audi Boost bar. It was like a something log.
Oh no, pop rolls.
Pop rolls. That's what I'm thinking.
They got the filling and they're like a cake bar, chocolate coated with the filling.
Yes, yeah. Because my missus is super into the Cadbury cake bars, which are like pretty good calorie wise. I'm assuming you already know that.
They're not bad,
and they taste good. And we got them, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, protein ones." And at first, I was like, "Yeah, that was okay." And then I ate 3 in one day, and I was like, "Okay, maybe they're pretty good." I, however, haven't tried their Clear Whey yet, so I was going to ask your opinion on the Clear Whey.
I really like the Clear Whey. Like, really like it purely because I don't know, on a hot day, which I'm sure you've experienced many of, I don't always want a milkshake. Like, it doesn't sit well in my stomach. So when you can have like a high protein version of a cordial, fuck, why wouldn't you?
Is it good though? I found that when I've had like something that was protein, but they tried to make it kind of like that sort of consistency that had like a bit of a weird feel in my mouth, kind of because it was whey protein. Or am I going to be really satisfied with it?
I hope you're really satisfied with it.
Spoken like a true representative of my protein.
I don't know. I really like it. I think maybe when they first started making it, there was like a bit of a mouthfeel after the fact, where it was like a dried your mouth out, sort of a little bit chalky kind of thing. But I've been absolutely smashing I'm not sure if it's still available. They had a strawberry Chupa Chups version, and I had 2 tubs of it, and I'm down to my last tub. I'm gutted, but I've been smashing that thing. Like, I love it, and I don't have anything after it, like any bad taste, any bad mouthfeel. But also, I think like for whatever reason, I don't know why I do this, but I wait until I'm really thirsty, and then I just neck the entire thing in one go, which is kind of defeats the purpose of having a nice tasting product. But I'm a thirsty boy. What do you?
I appreciate that. I'm very thirsty. I have a Gatorade and a water right next to me, and another can of this Level lemonade. I don't know if you've ever tried this.
No, never.
It randomly has 160 milligrams of magnesium in it. So,
what?
Yeah, either you get refreshed or you. Yeah.
Are you a sparkling water fan?
I am not, but I feel like I've never given it a fair go. These guys, Thirst Trap, they sent me a whole bunch of these for the podcast, and they have white cans of it, and they're like white and gold, and they look wicked, and it's sparkling water, but I've just been scared. I don't want to waste one.
I can't do it, hey. Sparkling water just tastes like TV static. It's like licking a TV. It's just like one of the old ones with the big box on the back. They're not nice. But again, it's so subjective. I know people that really like it, and those people I don't tend to associate with. I think they're like straight up blatant psychopaths. The only way you get away with having a sparkling beverage is if it's one of these bad boys, or the Solo. So Solo did a mango, which was
bro. I was literally. I feel like we've never covered enough, but I will leave you to your evening. But I had to say this. I was going to ask what your favorite no sugar soft drink is, and that right there is mine, man. The Solo lemon and mango is incredible.
Man, like Pepsi's my all-time number one. I'll probably end up with a Pepsi Max tattoo on me at some point, just because like I'm that way inclined. I have got a donut tattoo, so that speaks pretty much wonders about me. But if it's not Pepsi,
cinnamon donut or
no, that donut I was talking about before, the strawberry one.
Oh, you got that donut tattooed on you?
Yeah, that exact donut. I took that to my tattooist and I said, I want this one. And she was all for it. She was great. But yeah, either that or the lemon and mango Solo is top tier. It's so good.
I couldn't believe it, man. Hey, I was like, this is definitely up there with like the best. Like, and then I've just decided it is. And now they've made a hard rated one, so I don't really drink. But if you were to ever drink alcohol, apparently, yeah.
Oh man, I'm not much of a drinker nowadays. I think my time with drinking is very much over. But we haven't covered a lot actually, because man, I used to be like borderline alcoholic. So we might need more time next time.
Yeah, why don't we just do a part 2? I do part 2s with people all the time when really gel, and I think anyone listening, right? They can sense the chemistry. I know that we can. So,
Oh, mate,
you know,
I'm feeling it from all the way over the other side of the country. So,
dude, I'm feeling it, and it's. I mean, obviously, it's got a lot to do with the heat in here, but I'm feeling it. So, I think we just do a part 2, man, because honestly, I am super interested to hear more about those side of things because I have had like a severe problem with like disordered eating as well, and I think the initial one's always hard because I try to cover a lot because I always kind of want to touch on everything that you do, but I always love doing those deep dives as well. And I just really appreciate your time, man. If you're up for it, I absolutely think we could string it along for a number 2, and maybe we could. What would actually be super cool? I've never done this before. We could do it for the first time. Maybe we could try and see if we can line up some products and we could actually try them on the podcast together. You know what I mean? Like have something and we could, like, you could tell me some and I could tell you some that you haven't tried and we could try them and we can score them. That would be pretty cool.
I'm so in. Live reviews. Well, not live for the people who are listening, but live for us.
Like we would be experiencing it live. Yes, man. Look, thank you so much for your time, bro. I am looking forward to eating another Fro Pro pizza and getting way too much fiber. And I really look forward to, like I said, doing our live reviews. That sounds awesome. I can literally see it's gone dark outside of the window.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. I will let you clock out of the office, but man, thank you so much for coming on, and it was really nice to talk to you.
No, thanks for having me, man. It's genuinely been a pleasure. I absolutely loved it.